All right, welcome back to Let's Talk About Real Estate podcast, and I'm here with Bjorn Kunzel. Welcome back.
Good to be here once again, Lisa.
I know it's been a while again. We've got to do these more often, Bjorn.
I know we're joined by an absolute legend today, absolute gun from Port Lincoln,
James
Stacy.
Well,
yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. So Bjorn, tell me about James. Tell me about his story.
So I think James and I first met because I had a client in Port Lincoln that needed some help. And so I did some Googling, and James just came up all over the place as basically the king of real estate in Port Lincoln, just smashing the competition as far as sales, but reviews were really, really good. And I wasn't going to travel to Port Lincoln. So I contacted James and I said, look, I've researched you. You seem to be a really reputable agent. Can you help me with this client? And basically, James helped my client, and the client was very satisfied. And then here we are. James asked a little bit about eXp, and I said, oh, look, we'll get to that later, and showed him the model. I think it took you all of about 5 minutes to say I'm in, pretty much. And I think you started with us in January this year. You've done about 49 sales, I believe, already in your first year, and where you launched this in Port Lincoln when nobody knew who eXp was in Port Lincoln. And you're dominating the market, and you've become an icon as well in your first year within 10 months of being at eXp. So congratulations, kicking some big goals.
How cool is that? All right. So James, how long have you been in real estate?
I'm real estate 10 years now in Port Lincoln. So
so eXp since January.
eXp since January. So what's that, 10 months?
Yeah. So you started obviously eXp wasn't known where you are. We've only sort of just gone there with you, but people listed with you obviously because of who you are and your brand, the brand that you've built.
Correct. Yeah. So I was finding, I was probably finding out of 10, appraisals I was booking in the office, like 9 were coming to me directly, and the office was probably providing 1. And the appraisal the office was providing was competitive business. It was often like just a bit of a beauty parade, like what's your fee, what do you charge, how much is my property worth type appraisal. So it wasn't really great business to be involved in. I thought if I can move that aside and just deal with the 9 and then win 80% of those listings, I'm still going to do all right. So that was my motivation to move. I knew I was the brand, and I think that's the most important thing to realise is these agents now is that agents are the brand.
Yeah.
So since you made the leap, have you found it, as far as a workload goes, has it been easier, more difficult? Because obviously you're the solo eXp agent in Port Lincoln at the moment, and you came from an office where you did have other agents. How have you found the difference as far as support and things like that go?
Yeah, so from a support perspective, like I'm doing no more or no less work than what I was doing previously in that. Like I had admin support that would sort of get the contracts ready and send them to the conveyancers, which is what eXp do for us now as well, which is like amazing. But I'm probably like, it's just in myself working more. I'm getting called to more appraisals and more business as well, which is something I find, and I think, if you're listening to this and you're in a regional area and you're a well-known person working for a brand with other well-known people, you're going to be sharing those leads that are coming through, because one vendor might know 2 or 3 of you, but they're only going to give business to one of you. And I think I've learned that pretty quickly. Now I've come out on my own. Instead of getting shared with the other agents in the office, I'm getting called to a lot more appraisals. Like I'm booking 19 to 20 appraisals a month without prospecting.
Wow,
people are calling me, and naturally, like there's a bit of when I say no prospect, there's a bit of open follow up, and do you need an appraisal and whatnot, but no cold call prospecting at all.
Okay, can I ask you? So the people out there that haven't built their own brand, or they're sort of just starting in real estate, whatever, how did you build your brand?
Yeah, so for me, it was social media. Like I really honed down on social, and I really honed down on marketing to a certain number of homes in an area that I wanted to be known as. Now, Port Lincoln, there's about 7,500 homes in Port Lincoln, and there's different pockets, and some areas sell better than others, and some are social housing areas and whatnot. So I really focused on the areas that were going to be average sale prices for Port Lincoln. So our median price is about 350. So I focused on where the bulk of those homes were. I letterboxed those same homes. So all my new listings, all my just listers, just solds, all my testimonial letterbox drops got dropped to the same areas in the same home. So I didn't actually go and and drop those just solds in the areas that I was selling in. I was dropping into the same home. So I basically had a really high, really dense marketing
Good.
area. And then together with social media as well, sort of built up that. So, every new listing, every sold, reviews got on social media. I sponsored that. I was doing a lot of paid advertising on social media. It was about 4 years ago where we were told that social media and Facebook now is now a pay to play environment. And so I boosted every post that I did, and it cost me money, but I was getting that twofold back in business.
Yeah, wow.
So when you came over, were you able to take your database with you, or did your previous company, have restrictions on that?
Yeah, so they had restrictions. So I started fresh, started with zero.
Yeah. So you've been well known, you've been your own brand in your own area. To make the move to say, look, I'm leaving that to come and join this, you actually basically parted ways with an entire mass amount of 10 years worth of data and history.
Correct.
And knowing that you've taken that leap of faith,
yeah.
In all honesty, in all seriousness, if you had to go back in time, would you give yourself any additional advice, or would you be like, just do it exactly what you've done now?
I think I've followed the path that I needed to take. I'm happy with what I've done, and I'm happy with how things panned out. There's little things I could have done differently and day one. So I invested in some signage around town. Like I got this massive billboard made up because people knew who James Stacy was, but people didn't know what eXp. I didn't even know what eXp was before I joined. I'd never heard of it before. So people knew who I was. People needed to know that I bought eXp because I was a trusted brand, but people needed to know that eXp was also going to be a trusted brand. So I had eXp on a 1x3 meter billboard, just the logo, and then I had my contact details on a 1x3 meter. So it was 6 meters by 1 meter billboard that I put up on a fence in the main part of town. And so people that were driving past, like hundreds and thousands of people driving past that every day, then started calling me, oh, congratulations on the new business, congratulations. Like, so I knew it was working.
How good is that? So the 10 years of your database, you've really got back anyway from doing your self-promotion and
correct,
being a brand. So, okay, your database is back there, but now these people are calling you anyway. So you're building your database again anyway.
Correct, yeah. And like people in the modern era, people, if they deal with you and you're calling them a lot, they're going to save your number in their phone. Yeah. And so when they need their agent next time, they're going to call you. If their number's already in their phone, they don't need to know where you are. They just need to know your phone number. They've already got it. So
yeah, exactly. They like you, they trust you, they're going to come back to you.
Correct, yeah.
I remember, James, because Chris, state licensee's been traveling around Australia, and I remember when he traveled through Port Lincoln before he was about to meet you, so he hadn't met you yet. We get a thing on our messenger, and there's Chris Jansen standing next to your big, massive banner, and he's like, I found James already. How about this? And it was like, he'd come across that. So obviously everybody that was heading in to Port Lincoln was going to see where you were. And it was a pretty cool banner as well. It wasn't corny. It wasn't asking for business and things like this. It wasn't like get a free appraisal or any of this sort of. It was just eXp, like you said, your name, your number, and just your face. And it's amazing. Chris says to me, he goes, bloody hell, James. He goes, I'm bogged down because it's just James Stacy listing, James Stacy listing, James Stacy listing.
Keep him going, keep him working.
I remember early days, Kirsten, and she was always like, oh, you've got another one. I was just like, yeah, just keep them rolling through, Kirsten. That's fine.
Working, that's it. I like to see. All right. So what's been the major difference for you since joining eXp? So let's talk about professionally first, the numbers. So what's been the difference of numbers between where you are to where you come to?
Yeah. So I haven't even done a 12-month period yet, but I've already logged about 150 appraisals in the 10 months that I've been. So I'm averaging 15 quality appraisals. Now that doesn't include, price updates and rental investment updates and things like that. They are quality selling appraisals, of which I've listed 65 of those properties as well. 56 have gone to market and 49 have sold. So obviously there's a lot turning over in my local market still, and that's still, we're still getting the tail end of that COVID growth. We're still seeing growth in my market. We're a fairly insulated area as well. But the biggest change for me, like I said, I'm no longer getting those competitive. Well, I'm still getting competitive business, but it's not as competitive. I'm not getting those beauty parade call-ins where someone's calling the office just for an appraisal. I haven't had someone call me and just say, "What's your fee? What are you charging?" Because I was getting those all the time. When I was working for the previous office, because that's all they really care about. So and that's the biggest shift for me. So I'm getting called to more quality business, and getting called to more appraisals as well. So I was probably averaging 9 to 10 appraisals a month where I was, and now I'm sort of doubling that to where I am now. So yeah.
Wow. So for people that are worried about leaving a database, it's just, if you've got your brand and you've got your, having a marketing campaign where you're promoting yourself, like
yeah, you've got to run your business like you're running your brand and your business like you're running a business. Now, you're always going to have a marketing fund. Like I also have another business where I've got to invest, like it's under a franchise agreement, where I have to invest a certain amount of dollars every month into marketing. And if you give yourself that same if you're disciplined with that and doing that with yourself, people are going to know who you are and where you've gone, because the message gets out there pretty quick. You do the right thing by people, service people well, and those word of mouth referrals as well, just like gold.
Absolutely.
I just want to touch base on that, James, because a lot of people that might be watching this, there's a lot of agents that are locked in. For example, there's agencies here in South Australia where they own your mobile phone number. They own your database, and they have these compete clauses saying that if you leave, you can't sell real estate within X amount of a particular distance, which I professionally and personally and legally would challenge 100% any day of the week, because they cannot stop you from earning an income by selling real estate. So I think anybody that's got those clauses on them needs to understand that that can be challenged very, very much so. But there's a lot of agents like, we would love to come to eXp, but I lose my mobile, but I lose my database. You're someone who's kept your mobile but lost your database, 10 years worth of data, and people are still reaching out to you because you are the brand. I think in 2022, it's very important for people to understand that people don't buy into brands anymore. They did in the 80s and the 90s before the internet was around. But I think now with social media, with your Instagram, I mean, I take inspiration from all of your social media posts. You do the best coming soons, the best just listed, the best just sold. Nothing that you put out there is bragging about you. You're very humble in what you do, but it just shows success. It's just social proof of success. And I think people need to understand that you are the brand in 2022. So it's good to hear you say those things. There's a lot of other agents that actually have a fear of leaving something that's a comfort zone, being a database, and actually doing their own thing.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear that you've done that, and actually for other agents to hear that you've walked away from all of that and you're being super successful, because I believe that you were writing around about $800,000 in GCI a year. Would that be?
Yeah, I wouldn't. Not every year. That again, that was a reflection of COVID, but and obviously the shorter time on market. So that was at the tail end of my time there. But year in, year out, 450 to 500K in GCI as average. And in the last 2 years, it was 7, then towards that 8 number as well. Again, it was. It's just like I'm sharing so much of this as well, and I was like, there's got to be a better way. And I tried to, while I was working, I tried to sort of, talk to my accountant, talk to the business accountant, the accountant that looked after the business, to work out how I could keep more in my pocket by trying to minimize tax. Like, as opposed to doing that, I've just had to get more like a bigger bite of the cherry. And like Bjorn said, when we sort of first sat down and we went through my numbers and we had that first initial conversation about eXp, I think we worked out there was going to be a significant difference over the next 10 years. So if you're sitting there and you're working out, I won't go through the numbers, but if you're sitting there working out and your office is keeping 150 grand a year, that's 1.5 million they're keeping from you over the next 10 years. All right.
I think with your numbers, it was a lot higher than that as well.
Yeah, it is. The higher more, the more you're giving to your office, the more it is, obviously. So, but everyone that's in real estate can work the numbers out pretty quickly. Just times it by 10. That's what your office is keeping. That's what could go into your pocket, into your family's pocket, into your investment, into your future, into the next 10 years. And it's just mind blowing. It really is.
That is the scary figure. The 10-year figure is the one that really hits home, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, everyone's got a 10-year plan in their career. Everyone has, or a 5 or 10-year plan in their career. People don't think 20 years from now. They think 10 years, like where I want to see myself in 10 years' time. And as an agent, and we do all these trainings all the time, you're always told to have these 3-year plans, 6-year plans, whatever they are, 5, 10-year plans. So everyone has a 10-year plan, and those numbers are scary. And the 150 grand to the office is a pretty modest number if you're a decent performer. The most are paying 200 to 300 grand if they're writing, and they're paying these marketing levies as well, which is just ridiculous.
It's interesting at the franchise. The answer is charge more commission, do more appraisals, get
Correct,
more business, bring in a team, hire 3 or 4 or 5 people.
Hire people, hire people.
I was speaking to a conveyancer the other day who works for one of the most successful real estate agents in South Australia, and she was saying that that their numbers have actually almost close to halved since obviously last year. And she was asking, how are you finding things? And I'm like, our team, everybody in our team is doing more and then getting more business. James is getting more business. I'm getting more business. The new guys are getting more business. Just everybody in eXp seems to be growing and getting more business year on year. And it's interesting to hear that the other agents that have got all these, some of them are actually shrinking with their residuals.
Be interesting to see your market share now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've got close to market share, I believe, at the moment, James. There's eXp boards everywhere. I know you don't quite have it every single month because there are a few competitors there, but you're definitely up there in the top. Definitely.
Yeah.
eXp in South Australia. Okay, so James, what about personally since you've joined eXp? How's it been? How have you felt joining eXp?
Yeah, so it's been brilliant, honestly. Like we had a baby in April, so I had 2 children already. So we had our third in April. So that was like 3 months after joining eXp, and it was a big motivator as well because I was like, look, I'm going to have to start thinking more of the family. And I enjoyed working where I was working. I didn't dislike working. I loved the people there, but I wasn't spending a lot of time with my family as well. The work people became my family, which is all well and good, but my family at home needed me as well. Now I'm working from home. I've got an office as well that I sort of can escape to if I need to. I think I've done 1 day in 4 months in the office. Every other day I've been working from home, which is brilliant. Now I've been hands-on with my new daughter. She's now,
cool.
she's now 7 months old. So, it's been an amazing difference. And now because I am set up properly at home, when the kids go to bed, I can just sort of catch up on a few emails at 7 o'clock at night, but I can spend that time during the day in between appointments rather than sort of having to be accountable, be in the office and making calls because someone else has got KPIs over me. I know I have to make the calls, but I make those calls in my own time now, and that can be 7 o'clock at night because that's when people are home and want to talk to you as well. So I can be at home with my wife and my daughter more, spend more time, and then obviously work when they're asleep a little bit as well, which is handy.
So happiness levels, stress levels.
Stress levels drop.
Have you got less stress, more stress?
Yeah, I'm still going bald, but but happiness levels are significantly higher. Correct. Yeah, and I think that comes down to like just being around more. The family are happier having me around more as well, and that's really important. It's important for me. But and obviously financially we're in a very good position now as well. Like I've invested 5% of every dollar I've earned through XP back into eXp shares. And I've never had a share portfolio before. And now I've got this massive share portfolio. I bought Beyond Centre Iconed last month, so I'm about to get a heap more shares dropped into that account as well. And, after the next couple of years, I'm going to have this massive share portfolio as well, which I would never even dreamt of 2 or 3 years ago.
That's so cool.
It's amazing. I think ultimately everybody in life just wants to be happy. Yeah, like money's part of that, physical health is part of that, mental health is part of that, where you work, who you're surrounded by. But happiness is obviously the ultimate thing. Money's good and proper, but it's good to hear that you're happier. You might be a little bit stressed out still because you care so much about your clients. I think that just comes with real estate territory. I think if you care about people, you care about the clients you're dealing with, you're always going to have a few stress levels. Because if you just don't care, then you're not going to be stressed. But if you're not caring, then you're not going to be a top performer like you are. Right. So, but it's good to hear that the money's better, that the happiness is better. Anything else you'd like to add, or any other input?
Yeah, I think there's the freedom and flexibility of it as well. Like I'm operating in Port Lincoln. If you know where Port Lincoln is, 700 k's west of Adelaide. And I haven't personally met any of one with the exception of Chris Jansen, haven't personally met one of the other eXp agents in South Australia, yet feel so connected to them as well. So I thought I was going to be doing this alone and going at it alone. But, daily contact through Messenger and, daily contact through email, you're so well connected to the group. You don't feel like you're going it alone. So although you are working for yourself and you are doing yourself, going out on your own, you don't feel that way when you're actually doing it. So it's been a big shift. And if you're sitting there and you're thinking, I'm going to start my own agency, I would strongly consider eXp because there's no other business model you can run as cheap as what it would cost you to run under eXp. Like it's near impossible.
You can have
with
your
the with the sale.
own business for $218 a month, your own real estate.
Correct.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's insane, and you know, but with all the sales support you get, and the volume is handled by them. So whether you sell 2 properties or 22 properties a month, the admin cost is the same. So regardless of how much work those admin team do for you, it's included under that $220 a month, which is like mind blowing.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
It's
what
about
would you say-
$1,500. So it's about $1,500, I think, worth of subscription value that we get as well as
Yeah.
the support for $218 a month. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But that's obviously volume. When you've got 85,000 agents in 21 countries around the world, obviously eXp's model is to earn a small amount of money off of a hell of a lot of people. But it gives you the ability now to compete as a business owner. Have you found that having that flexibility, because you are on 100% commission, that you've been able to, you know, if needed, win over other business owners that are in your area?
Yeah, so I think again it's a pretty big shift because now I'm not having to, you know, compete so much on a level where I have to keep a certain commission or I'm expected to retain a commission of a certain level. If I want to help someone out, give them a go. And you know, I did this the other day, and I was talking to Chris Jansen about this the other day. I sold a property to a young couple. A week after they settled, they split up, right? And it was a really, really shit situation. Neither of them could afford to buy the other one out. And they called me, and you go, what sort of commission were you going to charge for that? You know, they've been in the property for a week. They're probably going to lose a heap of stamp duty. They're going to be paying agent fees, marketing, and probably solicitor fees as well. So I went in at a really, really something that was unheard of, just to basically cover my costs of doing opens, doing the contract work, and felt good. Like I actually helped these guys out. And you know, like I put the contract through the conveyancer. The conveyancer said, "Is this commission right?" I was like, "Well, yeah." I mean, it is what it is. I can charge, but I can charge what I want now.
Yeah.
Whereas before there was a minimum benchmark. I wouldn't be able to help people like I can help people now.
Oh,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And what would you say to other agents that are watching the growth of eXp in South Australia but not jumping on board? They're sitting back and just watching and thinking, you know, how's this going to go? What would you say to them?
Yeah, so if you're one of those guys that were getting told about Bitcoin early on and cryptocurrencies early on, and then you saw everyone else get rich around you, don't be that guy again. Jump onto eXp, start working for yourself now, and start building a team and brand around you. Now, I didn't join eXp to build a team and a brand. I joined because, you know, Bjorn had me at 100% commission when he said, you're going to earn 100%. I was like, sign me up. Oh, this is ridiculous. But there is we talked about the eXp is like the gift that keeps on giving. You know, there's shares, there's dividends that get paid in those shares. You can grow a team. There's revenue share. There's so many different streams of income. There's property management. So it really is an endless stream of income that can come through. And don't be that guy that says, "Oh, I wish I joined 5 years ago." Like I wish I joined earlier, but I didn't know what eXp was earlier. Do you know what I mean? But I wish I jumped on earlier. I wish I grew a team earlier. Yeah, but it is what it is. But don't be that guy in 5 years' time that says, "Oh, I should have joined eXp 5 years ago."
Yeah, exactly. So how can you help somebody looking to transition into eXp? Because obviously, we want to grow all over South Australia. So people have got the opportunity to work with you. So
Correct.
how can you help people that transition into eXp?
Yeah, so you know, if you want to reach out to me, I'll go through my numbers with you and go through your numbers with you. I'll explain the benefits exactly. I know I'll pinpoint. You know, we've been pretty open about the numbers here, but I'll pinpoint exactly what you're going to the difference in what you could earn somewhere else and the time. You know, but I'm also there as a support. Like anytime I need something or have a question, I've just reached out to Bjorn, Chris. There's so many guys in the team that have been around for such a long time now. There's so many people to reach out to. But the system's pretty straightforward. Like you just basically list and sell properties. You upload the documents, do the right thing, and it's the rest of it takes care of itself. Yeah.
But I think there's a great opportunity for people to work with you, work alongside you. They, you know, not only get your support, they get Bjorn's support, my support, Chris Jansen's support, all the other guys in South Australia, guys and girls in South Australia. So, you know, if anybody listening, definitely reach out to James, and he would love to help you and guide you through the eXp process, as we will. So, yeah.
And I think if you're a performing agent, that wants to make a move, but you're worried about your database. Oh, my database, my database, my database. James is social proof, living proof that you can do it by letting go of everything in the past and just starting again. So if you are perhaps one of those agents that you're writing maybe $4, $5, $6, $7, $800,000 a year, and you're looking for another high caliber agent that can basically get you up and running fast, James, I'm sure that you won't mind me saying this. If somebody was to join you, reach out to you, join you and your team, I'm sure you would share all those social media templates, all those Canva templates that you've got, and help them put together a plan of saying, okay, this is what I did, just copy and paste, paste, do exactly what I did, replicate what you've done. And because they are a well-known agent and they are the brand, I'm sure that will well and truly cater for them letting go of a database and things like that. So if you are that agent, reach out to this man that's done it. I personally got to take my database with me, so I'm one of the rare few. So if you're somebody that's concerned about that, definitely reach out to James, because James can definitely help you and guide you to make sure that you hit the ground running rather than lose momentum, which is what I think a lot of people are scared of, James, is that loss of momentum. So did you lose momentum when you switched over?
But the beauty, I didn't really think of it as a loss of momentum, but the beauty about it is that once you walk away from an office, and I was transacting 7, 8, 9 properties a month, so you're dealing with opens, you're dealing with buyers, you're dealing with negotiations, vendors. You might have 10, 15 listings on the go. You might have 20, 30 properties in your pipeline. So you're constantly calling people all day. You start from zero. You don't have any buyers to call. You don't have any sellers to call. You don't have any properties to manage. You don't have settlement gifts to organise. You don't have conveyances to call. You've literally got 100% of your time can go into building your business in the first 2 months. Like, I felt like I spun my wheels for 2 months because I wasn't dealing with all that back end and all the stuff I was dealing with day to day, which enabled me to have a heap of time to invest in just building up a pipeline, which is what I did. You know what I mean? So start fresh.
Awesome. Sounds great. All right. Well, thank you so much, James. Anybody reach out to James? He would love to help you, and I'll put your details and everything down the bottom as well.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Thanks, James, and we'll see you soon at the Christmas party, my friend.
Thanks for having me on.
Bye-bye.
See you later.